Patients gasping for breath on the footpath. Farmers agitating on the streets. Shopkeepers standing on the roads outside their very own shops. Students still uncertain about their examinations and studies. Lockdowns across all states without the formal declaration and name of a lockdown. People dying outside, still of the fear and the disease today we know as the COVID pandemic. To the uninitiated, this would seem as if I am describing a scenario outside that was about a year ago. But if you look out at that window right now, this is the reality we are facing today, even after a year. Which is why it becomes more important than ever to ask, where did we go wrong? Welcome back to the 21st Talks. I am Krutarth Patnaik, and I know it has been a while and this edition was long pending, but here we are after all. And it's about time we discuss this. Today is 1st of May and India is going to start world's largest inoculation program. So far 15 crore people above the age of 45 and frontline workers included have been vaccinated in India, and India is looking forward to start vaccinating its younger working population. The estimations are around 25 crore population to be inoculated before the month of July, despite of the massive logistical challenges we face in India. The young nation is about to start vaccinating people at a time where we are reporting around 3.5 lakh cases per day on an average for the past 7 days. In contrast, if you look at the statistics, last year at the time of April, we had around 1000 cases. Live April, at the time of the first wave, which came around mid-September or early October, as we are seeing in the statistical graph on the screen right now, the highest reported cases at that point of time were also around 93 to 95,000 cases a week, and that was only a week period, and then it gradually went down. Today is the day 9th where we are reporting almost 3 lakh cases in the country. And mind you, we must also bear in mind that these statistics of 98,000 were in the middle of a lockdown. A complete lockdown where people were not allowed to get out. Why were we in a lockdown? Because our so-called governments failed to predict that there will be a pandemic in the world, which is acceptable because most countries in the world did. Which is why we had the lockdown in the very first place, to buy time. Buy time through deaths of people, buy time through our frontline workers fighting an enemy that they did not know and they were foreign to, just to buy enough time so that our government could make sure enough services and facilities are available for the ones who become a victim of this vicious virus. However, here we are a year after that, and still we are standing in an even worse situation. The situation is not just worst in terms of the pandemic. It is much worse because of the political reasons behind it, the political ignorance and the entire politics behind the pandemic. Which is why today I am not going to spare any party, neither at the state nor at the center, because this is not a specific party related mishap. This is the Indian political system which has failed the Indian people once again. Let's discuss this point by point. Point number 1 up ahead on the screen. The world around us is rapidly changing, and so is the virus. Presently in India, we are facing a new strain of the coronavirus, which has led to this second wave. However, it is very important for us to perceive the fundamental flaw in the governance of our countries. And not just India, this is a pattern that I have observed globally and many people have observed globally since time immemorial. The governance of reaction. A government has to be proactive in such scenarios where the future is very unpredictable for the common man. Only the government has the power, the potential and the resources to make sure that proactive changes are made in the face of misery. In a scenario of a pandemic where coronavirus was taking the world by a blitz, even developed countries were thrashed by it, a second wave was not inconceivable or a fantasy or a figment of an imagination. It was very much a reality, only a matter of time. Although back in December, many of our leaders felt that they have defeated the virus and started claiming victory around in national and international forums. But in reality, the truth was very different and we let our guard down. Now the politicians want to come out and blame the people for various reasons, and people are responsible for it, but more responsible are the people in power who had the power to stop this, and they did not at the right time. Which is why I want to question the governance philosophy. Why can't we be proactive in terms of preparation for a second wave, not just a second but the third or the fourth wave, which God forbid may even be more deadlier, or even we may learn the lessons from this second wave that we have done. And what lessons do we have to learn? We haven't been able to provide enough beds, enough ventilators, enough oxygen. We aren't giving enough rest to our doctors. Our doctors are dying daily, serving hundreds and thousands of people and leaving their own lives to give a chance to a family of people, thousands of families blessed through these doctors. And what have we done in the 1 year, a leeway period that the government got, despite of knowing the challenges of the pandemic? We did not try to fight the pandemic in the past 1 year. We tried to adjust and live around it. That is the fundamental flaw, which I believe in the part of governance philosophy that we have faced. Point number 2. Responsibility. This point is very valid, and this point is never taken by any political party or the government at the center, neither at the state. Who is responsible for this entire mishap? Well, they found a common enemy, the people. Yes, we the idiots who voted them to power. They believe that the people let their guard down, because of which the pandemic is raging outside, and because of which they are not able to supply us enough beds, oxygen and ventilators. Let's put into perspective, the second wave is the most deadliest the India has faced, and around 3.5 lakh cases per day are being faced, which is less than 0.01% of the total population of our country, which according to the 2011 census was around 1.3 billion people. I believe the 2021 census is due, but we should be able to cross the 1.5 billion mark. So essentially, our governments are incapable of supporting 0.01% or less even a population at a time for their proper medical needs. And my all sympathies to the doctors and the medical staff and all the cleaning staff which has been engaged in this entire process of fighting the pandemic from the front lines. But whose responsibility was it to provide them with adequate resources and to make sure that availability of resources is made for the people? It has been 1 year, friends, 1 whole year. And here we are in a situation where we see people laying outside the hospital gates on the floor with no dignity of life, with no respect for the voter whom they call gods of the democracy. Who is responsible for this, visual viewers? I let you decide. Point number 3, accountability. People out there are dying. The first pandemic lockdown happened to buy time for our healthcare workers, for our governments, to make sure that adequate, sufficient supplies and facilities are made available to the common man. But what did they do with that time? They tried to fool us through their lockdowns. A lockdown was a preventive measure in order to buy time. Instead, they have started using lockdowns as a pseudo phase to show the less cases, because obviously the logic goes, less people move out, less people get contracted to the virus, hence less load on the healthcare system. But that is not the cure to this pandemic. The cure to this pandemic is fighting it with full might, inoculating as many people as possible, as fast as possible, which we have done so far, but not adequately enough, because of which we see the drastic statistics in the country. So who is accountable for this? Last time, I remember certain governments playing the blame game. Namely, I would like to cite the example of Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, which blamed it all on migrant workers. Well, this time Kumbh Mela happened. This time, your elections happened in 4 different states, which almost constitute to a third of India's population. Maybe slightly less, but a significant portion nonetheless. Who is going to be responsible for these amount of cases? Are you going to take accountability for the lives lost due to these activities which you let go? I am a Hindu, I am a proud Hindu, but I was the one, along with the nation, who questioned the Tablighi Jamaat last year when they had their religious event, which led to more than 2,000 cases in the country. So as a responsible citizen of this country, it is my responsibility and right to question why and how did the Kumbh Mela happen. We lost so many saints, we lost so many pilgrims who went there to ask for safety for their family. But why was it allowed at this scale, in the middle of a pandemic, in the first place? What is the priority of the people and what is the priority of the government? The lives of the people, the vote banks. It is a food for thought for every responsible voter of this country to think about who is real accountable. The government cannot wash off its hands by saying that it is doing its job and it is the people's fault. If the people were perfect, then there was no need for government in the first place. So it was the government's duty in the very first place to protect people, even from themselves, if they were to become a threat to them. Think about it. The last point before I draw towards the conclusion of this edition is power. Despite of the support of a billion people, support of people at the state, at the center, in both houses of the parliament, the machinery which had the power in their own hands couldn't do anything to stop this in 1 year. What did they do instead? They ran for more power. I do not know how much more power do they need in order to satisfy the needs and expectations of the people. And it is the sad reality of our country that previous governments have set the bar so low that the present incumbent governments can claim credit for just doing work. Can you imagine? Can you and I just claim responsibility and adulation just for doing our work or for doing something extraordinary and different which creates a difference? That is the sad reality of the incumbent government. And it is a fault of the previous governments also that we have set the bar so low that by simply completing its duties, also with not great merit I must say, they are claiming victory for doing a job well done, for a job barely done. This is something which none of us had imagined to face in the 21st century. The hunger for power will go on eternally. But what do you do of that power? Where is the responsibility? Where is the accountability? Where is the use of the power that a billion people have entrusted you with? And if you feel the burden of working for the people and claim victory in simply completing your own duties, then do not forget this is the same people who gave you that power can take it away. Do not play with the sentiments and in this case, lives of a billion people. This cost that is being incurred right now is too hard to pay back. That is all I say before the conclusion. Since last year I have been saying that only time can tell where this pandemic is going to take us, and the time has spoken. It has given a check to us during this second wave and our king is in a threat. It is our responsibility in the center of the board to strike back with a fierce offensive defense in order to protect lives before it's too late. This edition was long pending, viewers, and I am very sorry for the delay. And I assure you that 21st Talks is committed into raising voice and issues of the people of the masses of the 21st century. And we will and always be more consistent from now on. This edition, especially, I would like to dedicate to Mr. Rohit Sardana, a well-renowned journalist in India, a very brave soul, a brave journalist, an honest nationalist, who laid down his life, even breathing his last breath, thinking of the nation and the welfare of the people. And his legacy will always be a motivating factor for hundreds of people like us who will be always there to speak the truth to power, will always be there to raise the voice of the nation and of the people. Because the pandemic can take one away from us, but we all are in this together to fight it till the end. This pandemic, many other issues, all of them, only you and I together can solve it. Discourse on this platform is just a beginning. Action will soon follow. Let our time come. That is all I have to say. As always, keep asking the right questions and keep searching for the right answers. This is Krutarth Patnaik signing off from the 21st Talks. Ab hum bolenge. We'll be back soon in the next one. Take care. Be safe. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Sanitize your surroundings. Take care.